So I just watched The Bubble, Judd Apatow's new comedy satire drama film. It's a film, and it stars it's a cavalcade of Hollywood A-listers. We've got Fox Mulder, we've got Amy Pond, we've got other people. One of the people from the 40-Year-Old Virgin and Always 40, or we're now 40, or This Is 40, something like that. I haven't seen it, but it's one of Judd Apatow's better films, apparently. Judd Apatow, he did all the Knocked Ups and all those movies with Seth Rogen and stuff that I really loved at the time, but I really haven't gone back and seen them, so I don't know. The Freaks and Geeks guy, or whatever, you know. Really great director. Was super excited when I saw that he was going to be doing The Bubble, a film set in the pandemic where everyone's wearing masks and they have to stay in a bubble to make a film to save the world. Because, you know, we're all sad about the pandemic. Us normal people, we need the bigger Hollywood stars to make a film to distract us, to make our lives better. And that's kind of the premise of the film and the idea of this, where they're all going crazy in a bubble. They're all big Hollywood elites. They're losing their minds. But, you know, their problems are kind of not the real world problems that everyone was going through in the pandemic. In itself is a really, really interesting idea. The idea it's going to be kind of this, you know, documentary, mockumentary kind of feeling film, the way it's kind of like a, you know, like a spiritual sequel to Tropic Thunder. That kind of film. But it's also going to kind of mock the Hollywood elites in a new way with this pandemic lens. The idea of this film is awesome. Like the setup, the concept, the stars they have in this movie. Awesome, 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 awesome. So excited to watch this film. Then I watched it, and it's not good. It's fine. There are some really, really great little moments, like little bits and pieces that are hilarious and amazing, and they're going for that big blown satire parody, like really, you know, going crazy and over the top, and it's really fun. But for most of the film, it drags, it's terribly unfunny at times, even though all the performers are great. We've got Pedro Pascal, he's in it, the Mandalorian, or the Red Viper, or whatever you want to call him. You know, he's in it, and, you know, usually he is spectacular. I mean, all of these actors and actresses and everyone in it are usually incredible, and in this, they're fine. I think they're doing what they were asked to do, so it's not really kind of going, oh, I don't know, they didn't know what kind of film they're in. I think they all were told to do it like this, but the way they kind of acted and performed in it at times felt like incredibly cringy, like really kind of flat, dull performances, which is so weird because they're meant to be heightened, crazy actors that are egomaniacs and going crazy and losing their minds in this bubble. And there are moments and like little bits where you're like, haha, stuck in quarantine for 2 weeks in a hotel room, they're going crazy, and little bits and pieces that are almost something. But honestly, this is such a disappointment of a film. It's a film about the making of a bad film, but in ways, the film itself is just as bad. I mean, maybe not. The film they're making, Cliff Base 6, looks atrocious, but it's kind of that bad film where you're like almost meant to have fun with it, where they're all doing terrible accents and their performances are wooden, and you're meant to be like, ha ha ha, look at all these amazing actors act badly. It's not funny though. It's like not funny to watch it. Like, it really reminded me of, like, so much it reminded me of Tropic Thunder, where you've got these big trailer scenes at the start of the movie, and they're all, like, really silly and over the top, and you're meant to kind of laugh at the movies, but they were funny and awesome. It reminds me of, like, a new Apple TV series called The After Party, in which Channing Tatum plays an actor in a cameo, and they're starring in the live-action version of the game Hungry Hungry Hippos, and in that, every scene we get from that movie is spectacular and hilarious. But of course, it's, you know, written and directed by Chris Miller, of Chris Miller and Phil Lord fame. You know, those two guys that made everything good. Google them if you don't know. They're the best. That was perfect and encapsulated everything about, you know, Hollywood and its trends. And, you know, it's kind of mocking Hollywood and those trends and those failings and those trends. And this film pretends, or at least, I guess, tries to do a lot of that. Like, they're like, we casted a TikToker in the movie. But then it just kind of like does TikTok videos in it, you know? So it just kind of feels like it's, I don't know, it thinks it's trying to like mock TikTok, but it just kind of does a bunch of TikTok. And then it's like got actors that are like sexy sleazebags. Like Pedro Pascal's entire storyline is just like, I want to have sex with you. Do you want to have sex with me? And everyone's like, no, I'm eating Pedro Pascal, not now. And I don't know, it's just a lot of scenes like that. Like so many little bits where I'm like, oh, I can kind of see what you're trying to do here, but none of it kind of gels and comes together. At one stage of this film, I kind of thought, wouldn't it have been amazing if Judd Apatow had just gone, I'm just gonna like make Cliff Base 6 and a movie where you've got to kind of connect the dots of what happened in the other 5 movies, and actors are in and out and, you know, all this stuff, and you can kind of piece together a madness that might be happening behind the scenes. But he just made a campy, dumb, big CGI movie with dinosaurs that flew and everything. Because, like, there were moments where I'm like, it's really fun just seeing dinosaurs fly about and kill all these famous actors, and they're walking through the things, and not the B-grade stuff we get, because it's atrocious. It's not even funny bad. But I was just like, that would actually be great, like, to see this cast in, like, a Sharknado, like a cheap, schlocky budget thing, but with a huge budget and with a huge cast of expensive, famous actors. That would be really, really fun. But, you know, these are the things you're thinking about when you're watching a movie that sucks. We're like, I wish I was just watching another movie. This kind of makes me just go, if you want to watch this, just rewatch Tropic Thunder. It's so good. I haven't seen it in like 10 years, but I can't imagine it's aged so badly it's worse than this. Even if half of it is aged badly, and you're like, I don't like any of this anymore, still 10 times better than this. Or I would properly suggest, if you want to see Hollywood get taken down a level, Pop Stars Never Stop, Never Stopping. It's one of the best comedies ever. It's so good. Lonely Island just kill it. It's focused on the music industry and all the music artists, but it's like the Hollywood of music, and it just is so savage. It's so funny, but it has heart. It has emotion. It has a really great core kind of story to its main character, even though it's just kind of lampooning the music industry, but also has great music in it. Whereas this is a movie about actors lampooning Hollywood, but with no good acting in it, and no funny bits, even though it's kind of lampooning it in a way where you're like, shouldn't there be some really, really good comedy? There's some bits that make you laugh, I guess, but the movie is 2 hours long. It feels like it's almost 4 hours. The amount of times I went to check how long, I'm like, must be like halfway at this point. Click the thing, 22 minutes in. Okay, bad sign, bad sign. Checked again a bit later. I'm like, oh, you know, maybe I should get up and like, you know, get a drink of water. But maybe we're close to the end. Clicked it. 33 minutes in. Oh boy, that was when I started to go, ho, ho, ho. This is gonna be a long one. I better get comfortable here. And it just kind of drags. The middle bit just drags and drags and drags. There's no feeling or purpose or kind of direction to the film. It just kind of slogs along. And I guess maybe that was the point, to be like, they're trapped in the bubble and it's never ending. But no, it was just poorly paced and poorly written, and just really probably Judd Apatow's worst film. It's a huge disappointment. They're stuck in a bubble, and so are we, the audience, stuck in a bubble of pain. None of it's like, ooh, biting satire. Take that, Hollywood! This kind of just feels like a bunch of Hollywood actors standing around being like, oh no, mask, oh, social distancing, And when I think about it, the fact that it came to Netflix, yeah, of course it did. This kind of feels like a Netflix film. This film tries to have fun with the pandemic, and it's like, oh, social distancing, masks, oh, people take it seriously, and some people, and all this kind of stuff. But I don't know. I don't know if we're too close to it, or if maybe they just weren't hitting the comedy in the right way, kind of doing it in a clever way. Like, something that comes to mind is Superstore in its final season, where they're like, we work at a shopping center, mega mall, supermarket, Kmart kind of thingy. And in that, the final season, they're like, it's a pandemic. And you know, at first I was like, I don't want to see I don't want to see masks anyway. That was way more fresh at that point as well. But it kind of landed it and did it in a way that felt kind of like, you know, this works, and you're doing this properly, and I feel like, yeah, this fits into the story, and the comedy's funny, and I'm not just sitting there being like, oh god, that's right, I have to wear a mask at work, oh god, that's right, people are still quarantining, oh god, that's right, we're still in a global pandemic. Whereas this film reminds you of the global pandemic while making a movie where they're like, we're going to distract everyone from the global pandemic, yet this film is just reminding you continuously that yet we are still in a global pandemic. But yeah, overall, wouldn't recommend it. I give it a popped bubble out of one bubble. That's, if it was good, I guess it would stay formed and float in the air. But I popped it! 0 bubbles out of 0 bubbles. It sucks. As much as that metaphor, or whatever the hell I just said. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment below. I'd love to know what people think. If you've seen The Bubble, did you like it? Or you're like, get me out of this bubble! It sucks! This movie sucks!